You can do more than you realize if you just take it like one step at a time and you're like, what can I do today to get closer to my goal? What can I do? You may have had big plans for the year, but we're now in September and you're looking at everything you'd hoped to achieve and you're thinking, oh my gosh, how am I going to be able to achieve all of this by the end of the year? Do not worry, we're going through how you can achieve your goals by the end of this year. And by the end of this video, you will be feeling energized and ready. We're going to start by being drastic. It is September. We do have a shorter window of time than, if it was a new year. You've now got 4 months, which is still a decent amount of time, right? The whole of September, whole of October, November, December. That is still plenty of time. You can do lots of things, but we're going to have to be a bit drastic because you may not be able to achieve everything, particularly if you've not made as much progress or not been as focused, and there can be all sorts of reasons why. So we're not going to blame ourselves, be annoyed at ourselves or feel embarrassed or ashamed. We are where we are, but we can look at how to go forward. So you're going to pick 1 or 2 of the goals that you've had for the year to focus on. Just picking 1 or 2 is going to allow you to be laser focused on that thing. And then going forward, you're going to be like, does this serve me? Whatever behavior. Say one of the things is you want to wake up early or you want to start running. Anything that you start doing then, whether it's staying up really late or scrolling loads on your phone, you can frame that around is this going to help me run? Just get very granular with them. Do you want to run 5K? Start your own business, set up your own website. Do you want to do a massive clean out of your wardrobe? Write the first draft of a book. Make one new friendship, one good new friend. Do you want to post 10 videos on your YouTube channel? We need to get very specific about your goal. And this could be a brand new goal that you're just thinking of now and you're really inspired. Maybe this is something that you weren't even considering doing back at the start of the year. Or you can pick one of your goals for the year, one that you've not made as much progress on, and be like, I'm going to try and tackle this. And treat it almost as an experiment of what can I do in 4 months? What can I get done? Be specific, get granular. We're going to go into the details in a second. It's important to acknowledge at this step, there are plenty of things that we can't control, but the point is to do your best. If you have a goal of growing your YouTube channel or starting a YouTube channel, don't make your goal around, I want to have this many subscribers or this many views. It's good to have that in mind as a target, but the goal would be about what you can do. So I'm going to post 10 videos or I'm going to post 3 times a week on Instagram. What is it that you can do? What is it within your control? The next thing we're going to do after being so drastic and picking the 1 goal or 2, but I've got 1 in mind. After picking that 1 goal is you're going to break it down. We're going to break it down by month, by week, and by day. If this sounds a bit intense, okay, but just trust me here. We're working with limited time and we want to actually achieve these goals. So maybe we do need to do something a bit different. The idea with breaking it down in such a granular way, you're going to look day by day, what do you need to do to achieve your goal? So if you want to run 5K by the end of the year and that's your goal, your endpoint by the end of December, you would like to be able to run a 5K. That's great and it's specific and I think you can probably do that. So you have your goal, now you can work backwards from it. So what do you need to do? In some cases, this might be fairly straightforward, where there are other things, if your goal is very ambitious, this might require more work or more sacrifice, which is a whole other point we're going to get into later. But if you want to run 5K, for example, you will work backwards and be okay, I need to run this many times a week. I need to factor in this many days for rest. Maybe I need a little time buffer. I don't want to plan everything out, expect everything to go well because there might be something happens. Maybe you get injured or you're just really tired, you get sick, you can't run. You don't want that to completely derail your plan. Work in some time buffers so that you can confidently still reach your goal, even if there are a few twists and turns along the way. Not necessarily even bad things, right? You might just be having a great time with your friends, families around, and you don't get as many runs in as you had planned, right? It's not necessarily going to be a bad thing that happens, but life will happen in some way. We mentioned the breakdown. When I talk about this, I mean get a spreadsheet, or if you don't want to do this digitally, get a notebook and do a table or use a calendar. Think about what you have to do every day in service of your goal. Track everything to do with your goal. And the idea with this is that if something starts to go wrong, you will spot it very quickly. Or if you start going off the rails, it will be very obvious because you are on it. So at the minimum, I would say start doing a weekly review. I do this with journaling just to look back on my week and see what highlights of the week, what things I struggled with that week, what are the little things that I can celebrate, what's a lesson that I can take into the next week, what do I wish I could have done better. So this doesn't have to be a really time-consuming thing. Each week, have a time on a Sunday, if you want, or on a Saturday, a time to reflect and be okay, have I been on top of my goal this week? Am I on track? And if you're not on track, that's fine, but at least you're aware of it and you can think, okay, this didn't work this week. Why not? Let's try something else next week. It's okay if you have a bad week and things don't go as planned. We can still pick ourselves up and be like, okay, that happened. Moving on, get back on track, and then achieve what you want to achieve by the end of the year. I mentioned sacrifices earlier. Be prepared to make sacrifices. There's that saying about your new life will cost you your old one. And I don't want this to be coming across as like a fear-based thing of like you're going to miss out on so much, but more of like if you just invest like a little bit more time or a little bit more energy, you will see big results and you'll be able to achieve what you want to achieve by the end of the year. Like we mentioned about getting specific in terms of tracking by the day or by the week what you're doing. Try and become aware of what you're doing every day that could be replaced by work on your goals. So like I, for example, want to do more YouTube videos. What can I replace during the day to make sure I do filming or editing? For me, that's mostly like scrolling. So can you be like, oh, I'm going to give up Instagram for a month and focus on my running. Delete the app and then you've freed up some time. Other ideas, you could watch less TV. Be like, I'm only going to watch one episode a day, or I'm going to watch one film a week. Use that extra time to plan what you're doing next. Take action. Go for your run. Sit and make your business plan. Wake up earlier. Stay up later. Don't do both of those because sleep is important, but pick one or the other and be like, I'm going to wake up half an hour earlier and work on this thing. Maybe your goal is like you want to read 10 books by the end of the year. Perfect to either wake up earlier or stay up later and do like an extra half an hour of reading a day. Maybe you can start taking your book on the train with you. You may have already thought of that, but like actually take action on it and be like tracking it and be aware of, oh, did I read when I was on the train back from work, or was I just listening to music and scrolling on my phone? Be accountable. This is like the season to get really, really brutally honest with yourself and see like where you might be holding yourself back or sabotaging yourself. Maybe you're afraid of what it will be like if you actually achieve this thing. Maybe it's something that you've been trying to achieve for so long, and part of you is actually worried about what happens when you get there, like what comes after that goal. Or maybe if you're doing something like starting a new business or starting a YouTube channel, once you take that step, that's just the first step, and that's going to be the beginning of a whole other set of like fears, pressures, time-consuming learning, which can be great, but you might be like holding yourself back from doing that because you're actually worried about it or you're a bit apprehensive. That's completely understandable, but just try and become more aware of that impulse if you are trying to achieve something, and just notice like, oh, there's a part of me that's like hesitant here. Why could that be? And do some reflection as to why. Keep going, keep taking the action in the meantime. Be aware of that part and be like, it's okay. It's okay to be scared. We're trying something new here. Just watch that part of yourself and be like, it's fine. We're here. We're doing this. The next step is to really clearly visualize what you want to achieve, and specifically visualize what it will be like when you've achieved that thing. So imagine we're at the end of December and you've achieved your goal. So you've just run your 5K, or you've signed up for your hosting and you've built your website, and you sit back and look at it and you're like, wow, I can't believe I've done this. Or you've just pressed publish on your first YouTube video or on your 10th YouTube video, and you're like, wow, I said I was going to do 10 videos by the end of the year and I've done it. Imagine that feeling and use that feeling to motivate you now. Because the only way you're going to get to that place of like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I did this. The only way you're going to get there is if you take action now. And there are a few different ways you can do this and tap into that feeling. And one is to visualize, like we said, that's probably the easiest one, because you could just literally like sit and replay that scenario and be like, what's it going to feel like? Oh my gosh, I'm going to feel like so proud of myself. I'm going to feel so accomplished. I'm going to kind of be in disbelief, but like be so happy. You can also write about this. So I mentioned journaling earlier on as a way to help keep you accountable and do your weekly review and look back on things. You could do scripting, which is a really powerful form of journaling. People talk about it as like a way to manifest things. And the reason it's so powerful is because you are, as we're talking about, tapping into the feeling of what it will be like when you achieve the thing you want to achieve. So you would write, I just finished my 5K. Maybe you like signed up for an event or something, or maybe this is something you've done by yourself. Regardless, as you're writing, you'll be like, I've just run this 5K. I feel elated. I'm so proud of myself for achieving this. The air is really cool and crisp because it's December. I'm so grateful for my body and my feet for carrying me this far. I'm grateful for my motivation. I'm grateful for my determination. Gratitude is really important when you're doing scripting, because you want to act like you already have this thing. And so if you already have it, you're grateful for it, right? Like, I'm grateful for all I have. Bringing gratitude into your scripting, it's reinforcing this idea that you've already done this. Like, oh my gosh, I'm so grateful I was able to do this. I'm grateful for the circumstances that let me do this. If I'm thinking about it in terms of like a YouTube goal, because maybe like a running thing You can like script the whole like surroundings of what it's going to be like, because you can imagine like it will be really cold in December, maybe it'll be raining, you know, but that's like more of a physical thing. But for YouTube, for example, I can be like, just posted my 10th video. I've worked so hard and it's really paid off. I've like really connected with people with these videos. I've spoken from the heart and it's really resonated. Kind of go on in that vein of like how proud you feel, how happy you are to have achieved this thing. It helps to almost trick your mind into thinking it's already happened. You will see if you try this and you start writing about a specific scenario, you start scripting it, you'll be like, oh my gosh, yeah, that would be amazing. Like I'm imagining living in this specific place. Maybe you want to like live in a different country and you're writing about what it would be like to wake up, you know, in Italy or wherever. It's a really powerful practice. So you can do that, and you could also make a vision board. This is also a powerful thing, and I think I'm going to do this as well, because I find the process of making them really fun, like looking for all the photos on Pinterest and like finding the images that really resonate. It's such a cool creative process, but it's also quite powerful because you can then like set that as your background. You could print it out and like put it on your wardrobe door. You could set it as like your phone background as well as your laptop background. So then you have this vision board as like a constant reminder of what you want to achieve, and maybe you can every few weeks add something new or add a new quote or something, so that you're never getting bored of it. It never fades into the background because you're adding something new each time. They're very easy to make. You can make it in PowerPoint, you can make it on Canva. Easy, free ways to find these things. Find your photos on Tumblr, on Pinterest, and make a vision board around your goal, the thing that you want to achieve. And as you pick the images, make sure you're picking ones that have like an emotional connection, and you may not be able to explain it, but you'll see something, you'll be like, yes, that is like a visual representation of the feeling of safety, right? And you may be able to say that to yourself, or you may just see it and be like, that one, definitely that photo I need on my vision board, because it seems to like capture something. Like you may not be able to put into words like, that photo shows this feeling of safety or shows this feeling of like contentedness. It could be something like the light coming through the window a specific way. I'll look at that and be like, that makes me feel safe, you know? So just try and find either quotes or photos that have that like emotional connection. It doesn't matter if you pick like really cringy quotes that you're like, oh, it's like, no. If that's what's resonated with you and will help you achieve your goal, go for it. There is no such thing as being cringe in this context. And I want to reiterate, because this is a very important thing on my channel, is be compassionate. We mentioned life happens. You have this goal and I know you can do it. You can definitely do it. But sometimes life can be hard. And, you know, if you struggle with your mood, winter can be a hard season. And it can help to have something like this goal. And it's definitely going to help me to have this thing that I'm focused on. So I hope the same for you. But you may still have bad days, and that's okay. The important thing is to not let those bad days feed your inner critic, and instead just be like, okay, we had a bad day, but we can still get up, and the next day or whenever you start to feel better, be like, now I'm going to take some steps. I will say you are stronger than you realize, and you can do more than you know. You may have like this ambitious goal and you're really going to go for it, but there's a part of you going, I don't know if I can do this, which is very normal. And so you can say to that part, hello, we're going to try anyway. I would also say, to counteract that part, you are a lot stronger than you know, and this is just like the beginning. And so yeah, it might feel impossible, but you can still do it. Like I'm coming up to 1,000 days sober, and if you told me on day one that I was gonna have done that, I'd have been like, no way, that's not possible. You know, you can do more than you realize if you just take it like one step at a time, and you're like, what can I do today to get closer to my goal? What can I do? You can do it. Please share your goal, the goal that you're trying to achieve. Please share that in the comments so that we can all support each other and cheer you on. You can do it. Let's go.